Let me begin by stating the obvious. Today, we are all witnesses to the accelerated dismantling of the foundation of the European security. The transfer from unipolar to multipolar world gives us quite a problem. That's the point that was made by President Putin back in 2014, speaking at the Valdai Forum meeting. And since this world happened to be quite unconventional for the Washington administration, they tried to establish the bipolar world. And instead of the Soviet Union, they were looking for the notion of the evil empire, and it could be Iran or China or Russia being the nuclear superpower, and now it is the homeland for all the hackers. So it is quite obvious. So the moment you start those who are to blame externally, it happens when your domestic recipe is borrowed from the 12th century malfunction. And the erosion of the international law is also quite obvious. If you read some papers of the European Union, this term is always substituted by a combination of words, internationally recognized rules and norms, and one can hardly see the difference, and we cannot understand who recognized those norms. I can remind you of the fact that in the past 10 years, Russia has made a great effort in order to establish really equal and indivisible security. Russia reduced its military potential on the western frontiers, and we have voiced our support for the strengthening of the international institutions such as OSCE. Well, coupled to the bitter experience of World War II and followed Cold War, those attempts could have convinced the Europeans that we are sincere about establishing that peace. But the founders of the European Union engineered the extension of the European Union in order to avoid confrontation, as they say. But it's quite obvious that in that concept from Lisbon to Vladivostok, which was very much talk of the town, now we can say that the closed alliances consolidate in the wake of Brexit. Perhaps talking to the Brits, the Europeans have some benefits about discussing ways to consolidate the remaining 27 member states. But I don't think that's the best scenario for them. And it's even worse, the scenario, again, played by the Brits together with the U.S. partners. I think you understood what I mean. That's the true hysteria about that staged attempt on the poisoning of Russian nationals. And Russia was blamed for that incident even before the investigation started. It ran fully counter to all the established international practices, and it was added by the twisting of hands to the NATO member states to just portray unity. They failed, but really Britain made a lot of noise, just locking the door. A couple of words on the EU security, but it is very closely intertwined with the previous premise. Initially, the European Union was established as a trade association with traditional focus on the soft power, but recently we saw the attempts to intensify and enhance its military and defense components. And in the framework of implementing the joint policy, defense policy, Brussels adopted very serious decisions in this area. Having managed to overcome multi-year inertia, the member states urged by Paris and Berlin came to terms about further integration in the area of defense. The ultimate objective is to achieve strategic autonomy and the status of a security supplier. The milestone decision was taken in May last year on the launch of structured cooperation. It is abbreviated as PESCO. Out of 28 member states, 25 are members to that program. That's the continuous mechanism of cooperation on a module basis, and the objective which is to be accomplished within the framework of the PESCO are quite ambitious. Cooperation in the production and procurement of weapon systems, the deployment of combat tactical forces, operational deployments, relocation of North Atlantic troops throughout the territory of the European Union. So the tentative name for that is Military Schengen Zone. The European Defence Fund, amounting to 5 billion euros, is also a meaningful instrument, and in the long term it is supposed to promote the production of weapon systems. But the question arises, who the European Union is going to deliver those systems, or who is it going to use it against? So again, speaking of that PESCO's program and discussions of the European defense, gives us an idea about some gaps of the previous schemes. That's the reason in Brussels they were trying to find some new ways, although they could not be radical. And although the paradigm can be adjusted by the European Union, and the personality factor also plays a role, because President Trump is very much unpredictable, and it's an open secret that in the framework of the European Union it was Great Britain that slowed down the military integration. At some point, resulting from the Anglo-French summit meeting, we thought that the Brits were ready to start the integration, but it didn't happen, and because of the upcoming Brexit, Brussels has some broader room for maneuver, but it's not so simple with military Schengen. One of the pillars is the stronger cooperation with NATO, and we all know who played the first fiddle in the North Alliance. We know that Washington has been criticizing European allies that they didn't pay much attention to security, and Washington demanded the military spendings would increase. Now, when the European Union only started doing something in this area, Washington began accusing the European Union that those steps would run counter to NATO policy and would undermine the security of the Western world. And despite the fact that most of the plans are on paper only, and Washington is quite jealous about those plans. most of the concerns come from the European attempts to develop their own defense industry. And certainly the United States doesn't want any competitors in this area, and nor does Great Britain. But let's see what impact it may have on Russia, and we should say with regret that there is the opposition to Russia which prevails, and 3 out of 7 strategic priorities are based on that. The priorities that are recorded in the joint NATO declaration of 2016. A great number of other initiatives are also very much anti-Russian. There is another concern, and European Union countries that traditionally are not participants to military alliances are also involved, such as Austria, Finland, Ireland, Sweden, and it may lead to the erosion of their non-alliance status and ruin the balance of forces in Europe. And in the framework of the modernization of the military forces, there is an attempt to unify all the potentials for the needs of NATO. And NATO established 2 operational commands for that end, logistics, and the other is Atlantic and Arctic Command. We have no allergy on the attempt of the European Union to be more proactive in international affairs, including the strengthening of the stability and security. But should it lead to new demarcation lines, and should it be based not on the international law and principles of international security, including the commitments of the OSCE member states not to strengthen their security at the expense of other countries, Russia's reaction will be quite predictable. By the way, even recently we were assured that Eastern Partnership Initiative was not meant against Russia, but we can see a very sad picture in Ukraine, which at some point was made to make a choice between Europe and Russia. And we would hate to see more attempts to make other countries in the CIS environment space or Balkan countries to make their choice. We never objected to Balkan countries joining the European Union. We think that the Balkan countries should not serve the grounds of rivalry, but the platform for cooperation. It is a frequent case when some notions are substituted, so that Europeans are convinced that there is a genuine Europe and there is another Europe which is not genuine. And that's the legitimate outcome of the lesson learned by the Europeans when the building of the old European home was substituted for the policy of economic blocs. As a result, today many people in the European Union understand by European security, they understand their own security, excluding other countries under the pretext that they are not Europe. And we can see some very aggressive Russian-phobian counteraction, and we are accused of our attempts to weaken the European Union, to split it, which is not the case. And our intention, I personally stated it many times, we would like to see the European Union as our good neighbor and good economic partner and independent player. As Jean-Claude Juncker put it recently, we cannot establish security in Europe for centuries without Russia. understand that we hope that it is realized by most of the European countries, and potential is great if it is used appropriately. So far, our partners are not prepared for that, and we have to state that as a result, the European Union and Russia find themselves in a lose-lose situation. I can only hope that it is a temporary situation.